Well, this is definitely a new one. I'm not actually expecting anybody to join me here today unless they just drop in, because this was not intended to do much except for see if I was right about one small detail. I'm only going to be here for a couple minutes, but here's the situation I'm facing. My camera built into my laptop is not working. It collapsed. So we've done our best to remove it all together. Okay, with a whole lot of help to remove it all together, to deactivate the thing, to replace it, restore it. Already did all the normal things of rebooting the computer from the ground up, going to the Microsoft store, downloading a fresh install, going through all that rigmarole. In the last 2 days, we've spent approximately 4 hours trying to get this running. Now, the sad reality of it is that at this point, I have no idea how to make it work. Because here's the other side of it. Now, this is very much an impromptu issue. Okay, the other side of this little equation is that I'm looking at a situation where the camera itself won't work, but the same hardware, because this is a built-in camera on my laptop. The same camera that they say won't work works on both Skype and on YouTube Live. I do not have any understanding as to why it will not work on its own. And all the searching around that we've done, like I said, wasn't just me. I am not computer oriented. So instead of being able to actually record the journey today, so I'm not bothering to record one right now. This was literally a question of testing to see if. Oh, there we go. Oh, well, greetings, YJ. Thank you so much. Yeah, we've tried everything. You know, YJ just entered the chat room, and they're saying, and YJ is saying everyone's having major glitches with the computers. Oh, okay. 2 days ago, someone blew apart a Google building. Something is going on that's caused. Oh, well, that could be major problems. However, what doesn't make sense is why the one thing that still does make sense. I mean, in one sense, it's really appreciated there's this extra information. The biggest thing I'm looking at is that the camera itself won't work on its own, but it works with third party. And it doesn't work straight off the laptop I've got right in the computer. So I am wondering why there is such a major problem going on. I mean, clearly blowing up part of the building is going to cause havoc, but that should cause havoc on the business side. As near as I can tell, it shouldn't have a direct impact on the computer, on the one in my office. However, I do appreciate the insight. So of course now I've checked to make sure all the documents I've got, everything else on the computer works. Wallet Moth, how you doing? I wasn't actually planning on being in here. All I did today was just come in to test and see if the computer worked on this app as well, because my camera has completely collapsed to fire it up from the computer, which means I can't do the pre-recordings. I've got no way of pre-recording them, so I figured, okay, let's come on the computer on live and see what I can come up with. See if that's working. Well, now it turns out YouTube works and Skype works. I'm hoping, because I've got a meeting I'm supposed to have tomorrow on Zoom, and I had troubles with it the last time we tried setting things up. So I'm hoping Zoom will work tomorrow, but there is no way I have any way of deciding whether it'll work until it gets here. Until we actually go live. And, the last time I told them, look, technology does not work right for me. Okay, and it's just across the board. The second somebody says technology works fine, this is just plug and play. It usually works this way, or it should work this way. The second that is said, I just shut down the conversation. Like, scrap it. You either take everything after the word should, okay, and throw it out the window. Nothing from that standpoint technologically matters. Not from my end anymore. So this afternoon, I've got a bunch of notes I've got to make, but Word is still working. So that's always handy. And I have decided I'm going to be pulling a bunch of documents and backing them up on my other computer in order to be able to make sure that nothing glitches completely. Because I've got 40 years of writing here. And I mean, from my standpoint, that's a major problem. Now, I wonder if I go over here, if I can actually get that on the right screen. I don't know what the heck did I just do? Uh-oh. I just shrank the thing down so I can't see it. Well, that was pretty dense. Okay, drag that over here and then go looking for it. I usually like having the screen a little closer. Yeah. Plug on. Yeah. Wallamoth is just saying plug and play is a very loose term. Yeah. Plug and play for me just doesn't work, period. It's just kind of an annoyance, if you will. What do we got here? Do I have just looking to see? Let's see. I didn't even put a title, I don't think. So let's see what happens if I go and just enter the word live into it. Nope, that doesn't help. I forgot to mark the thing to send me in the right direction. So let's see if this works. We copy that and pop it in here. Maybe that'll do the job. Let's find out. Needless to say, I don't have a lot of faith in technology at this point. Okay. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's showing I'm feeding live now, which is always nice. Now, how do we get that to blow up? Right there. There we go. Well, sort of. Yeah, even my studio isn't working quite right. But hey, what the heck? No, so I figured I had a little bit of time to kill, but I'd get on board here and see what I was working with. On the plus side, as far as the writing and what have you goes, a couple of major things are taking place. I'm still, at this point, I'm still fighting with I phoned 2 days ago. Well, a month ago, I contacted the people that have been working on putting my Yldrbac Chronicles online. Phoned them a month ago. 2 weeks ago, they had somebody else completely new. I phoned them and said, I need to talk to somebody voice to voice. Like, I need to sort this out. So about 2 weeks ago, somebody completely different, turns around and sends me another email asking me to send them photographs of the books that they have been printing to show them and to explain what's wrong. Right. And like I told them, I said, what's wrong is you guys have totally botched the entire system, the entire concept. Right. So I phoned 2 days ago and I said, get somebody to contact me. It is urgent. It's been 2 days. I still haven't heard from them. Gives you an idea how much this major company really, really cares one way or another about their clients. I mean, from my standpoint, so the Yldrbac Chronicles, the books that I've done, I showed this the other day. Okay, now unfortunately, shipping is what's killing me, right? But these are the books that my local printer puts out. And if you look at the back, whoops, did that backwards. If you look at the back of them, the pictures line up. If I can get the books lined anyway. The pictures line up as one. Now that's great. That's what my local printer does. Now my local printer got the exact same files that this other company got. And look at what the other company went and did. The exact same files were sent. Okay. Now here's what the other company did. That's the Birth of the Wolf Pack. This one is the end of an epoch. Now, like I said, they're supposed to line up. As you can see, they line up really well. Even the binding that's supposed to match up. Okay. Even that binding. See how well it matches up? This is why I'm choked. So, what I'm getting around, what I'm looking at this point, another person I made contact with, lo and behold, how you doing? This was kind of an impromptu drop-in, just I had a little time to kill. I've been fighting for the last I've spent the last 4 hours in the last couple of days trying to get my camera working, and this was just literally a question of, let's double check. We know Skype works with the camera, with the onboard camera, that I've apparently already disconnected, but this camera is still working here and works on Skype. So I have no understanding of what's going on. Mind you, I didn't have any understanding beforehand. But those two books, the Yldrbac Chronicles, are on Amazon right now. But the ones on Amazon are a scrambled mess, and I cannot get a hold of the company to put them up there for me. I've been waiting over a month now to actually talk to somebody verbally. I saw one email come in from them just on last Thursday, only that email is gone. So I don't even know who sent the email at this point. Needless to say, would I recommend the company? Not a snowball's prayer at this point. Okay, but what I am doing is another lass that I ran into earlier here, okay, in town, is going to come over and help me take these little books, these ones, and get them up on Amazon as well. Okay, because apparently this connection that I've got has already got a book on Amazon, so I just got to go in and talk to, and she's willing to come over and give me a hand to get set up. So I will be putting these two on because shipping is a pain. These ones I can still put. I didn't have to change the price because they're small enough. Okay. Same as this one. Like, I will be turning to Amazon on my own with a little bit of help because Races of the Worlds, I've got to get that done today as well. I'm also going to be looking at getting that mounted on my own, like with help, obviously, doing the technical side. But this was just an issue of I had a little time to work with. What time are we here? We are at 1:47. See, I'm okay at this point. I'm just puttering. Yeah. Unfortunately, YJ, that would seem to be the case. I literally, when I sent the letter back after this, what I call a stranger sent me a thing asking for photographs, I sent them back a letter and literally told them, you have made it very clear that you don't care about the little fish. Now, I know I'm a little fish. I know this. I wrote them a letter and I says, you have made it very clear you do not care about the little fish at all. I says, you have a phenomenal sales team, but you don't care one iota about the little fish. You're interested in getting your money, and that's where it ends. Now, on the other side of that, I do have a company. I did get a website done, rkeithandrews.com, that has all of my books and the prices, including shipping, listed. Now, the shipping cost, the price that's listed includes, yeah, well, that's why I'm going to be looking into Amazon. I just don't understand computers. YJ's just saying that Amazon handles all the shipping, which is great. I don't even care if they take a percentage of the profit, because let's face it, they're using their system to do it. It doesn't matter to me. Okay, money has never been my driving force. So I'm taking a look. I'm not earning a thing on the other one anyway. The sad part is, even with this major company, even their reporting is wrong. They've said I've sold one book. Now, I know of it on Amazon. Now, I know for an absolute certainty, because I've had 4 or 5 people contact me and say, we bought the book off Amazon. And then they brought up questions or comments that you would only know by reading the book. Okay, so I know there's 4 or 5 at least that have gone through Amazon, and they are not recorded on this major company. Nothing against Amazon at all. But the people that have built my website, I told them right off the bat, technology and I don't get along. Well, I'll tell you, when I drop them a line and say, can you give me a call? I've got an issue I need to sort out. The longest I've waited for these people is 20 minutes, not a month and a half. Well, thank you very much, YJ. I appreciate the vote of confidence on that. The way I look at it, I'll give them a try, because it doesn't matter how good the books are. Okay. It really doesn't matter at all. If I cannot let people know that I'm there. I went to post my new website on Facebook, and I see people posting their websites on their other websites on Facebook all the time. And Facebook flat out said, nope, this goes against company policy. And they didn't post the website. Now, why? I don't know. But I already have my wrist slapped once by them, because of the fact that I made a comment that I said was my personal opinion. They didn't like that much either. So what I'm trying to figure out is how to get information out. At this point, I just don't know. Right. What I do know is I'm not giving up. I've got an idea in mind. And, it was funny. The website designer, they had wanted pictures of the books I've got, which makes sense. And then they sent back a letter and they said, you've got website, like, we've got these pictures, but we're looking for the other ones. I'm like, which other ones? And my contact goes, well, you said you've got these other books that are coming in. Do you have pictures of them? I said, no. Okay, the ones that are up and coming, until they are completely written and ready to go, I won't be doing artwork for them. They're just ones I'm working on. Now what I've got to look into is how to make sure that I've got all the copyright in place. It's a major sheep show for me, because technology and I do not get along well. And at this point, I'm simply looking at, how to make things happen. I've got a business page on Waldemoth. I've already got a business page, both for Inner Voice Enterprises and for Yldrbac. What I haven't looked into is, I haven't put a lot of money into the advertising side of it. Right. What do we got? I'm presuming there's more to that statement. Yeah, it's a question of me learning how to market. Which is really funny when you think that I have told business people how to increase their profit line. I'm talking about taking a small company, a small company on the west coast of BC, on the west coast of Canada, and taking them from a pocket company to an intercontinental company, simply by telling them what they had to do. You'd think I would actually pay attention to me. I think a lot of the problem I've had is that, first and foremost, I've never been driven by a lot of things. Like, money just does not drive me. It never has. Which might be a holdup in and of itself. But the fact, like, with a cell phone, you take a cell phone. Normally, if you're using like an app, like a communications app, it'll show a little picture down in the corner, down here sort of thing, on the screen though, right, of the person, of you, and then a bigger picture in back that is, in behind it, of the person you're talking to. With my phone, more often than not, the little picture shows up upright, but the big picture shows up inverted. Absolutely bizarre. Well, that would be the biggest problem right there, Wallamoth. When you say that I need to tag it for the ages and types and what have you, it can be real challenging, especially when you look at the Yldrbac Chronicles, because they literally apply to everybody from 13 years to 110. Of course, 110-year-olds are very rare, but okay, 13-year-olds on the other hand, not so much. So this was just a question of trying to figure out how to start promoting it, because I've got to do something like that. The Greys I get along with. The thing is, the off-world, the funny part there is the off-worlders use a quantum biomagnetoelectric flux holographic interface. That I can make dance. These binary things I can short out in a heartbeat. And it becomes a major problem. The only people's computers I can't readily use are, the Drakes and the Srazazians. They use computers where the buttons are they've got too much resistance. So you can stand on the buttons and it won't work. But I am putting together some extra information, what have you, today after I get done this, because I'll be coming off of here. I'm only here for the, I've been on now for 23 minutes. I'll only be on here for another 35, if you will. JCL, how are you doing? This was kind of an impromptu drop-in. Primarily to test technology, because my technology is just collapsing over here. I've got a camera that says it's not on board, and yet here I am talking to you. I uninstalled everything, uninstalled the camera altogether with a whole lot of help from another person. Reinstalled it in what they said, and right off the Microsoft site. It says it can't open, and yet Skype and YouTube Live work fine. Why? I have no understanding. Okay, so I don't know where it comes to the pre-recorded. I may end up bypassing those for a little while, and because I just can't do them. But since I now know that live works, I'll do what I can on that end. Today was just an issue of going, does it work? And in all fairness, much as I'm really happy to see you guys here, I wasn't honestly expecting anybody to show up. For me, it was just a question, let's see if it records at all. So now what I'm doing is going through, and where is my book? Way over there. Not going far. I've been going back through this little book. I've shown this to you before, at least on the other feeds, on the pre-records. this little book here is what I'm doing all my writing in for the Return to Paradise. And I'm going through it right now to make sure everything is online, is set up right. What I hadn't quite decided is, because I stumble over my words regularly, but one thing I had played around with the idea of doing when I'm live is just reading excerpts out of the Yldrbacian Chronicles or the other books, just to let people know what's in them. Because at this point, I got to do something. Only I don't know whether or not that's a good idea, or whether or not that's even something that people would like. You know, for me, it's a question of, I'm going to finish writing the stories anyway, especially the 12 volume saga. I will complete writing it. You know, and that's just literally a question of writing it because I decided I was going to. So, am I looking to sell it? Absolutely. I've been approached by 2 companies that have already talked to me about potentially turning the latter years into a movie. Okay, but there's a glitch with that. I first of all won't even consider it until the Return to Paradise is done. And when that's done, once that's done, then I'll look at it. But there is no way I'm going to turn rights over to anybody. Okay. In the meantime, I'm also going through all my back information. You know, all my back information to find out how much money I've actually sunk into doing my writing, doing the printing and what have you, to find out how deep in the hole I am. Not that that's going to stop me. You know, now I worked out something, and I think it's right there. This, by the way, is that fine little blood pressure machine to make sure that I don't get myself too wound up. I will tell you, it doesn't work that well with technology and I. But this little folder here, okay, what did I do? And of course, I got a whole pile of information here, none of it necessarily organized. But I have worked out a way. I worked out a way to work on. What do we got here? World Bigfoot, how you doing? Yeah, this is remarkable from my standpoint. I was not planning on any company here today. You know, but I'm playing around with the idea, like I said, of reading excerpts out of the Chronicles, out of these 2 books. These 2, this one here, Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams. That is literally the backbone of how I took my life and turned it around. This one is designed to show people how to take their business and make it do things in the right order. And there's a number of other ones I'm working on. The one that really, you know, the one that really caught me off guard was these 2 here. These are children's books. Okay. I took this one to the First Nations in Canada here, in Kelowna. They told me that this story of Mr. Dreamcatcher, which is literally a children's story about a dream catcher, they literally told me that it was one of the best they had seen. But because I'm not legally First Nations, they couldn't touch it. Or more to the point, they wouldn't touch it. You know, and from my standpoint, it's like, okay, well, sorry, I'm Native in as much as I was born here. And if you take into consideration the fact that my father went through the blood brother ceremony back in 1943 and became the blood grandson of Chief Walking Eagle out of Rocky Mountain House, out of the Blackfoot tribe. If they record that at all, then I've got a bit of an issue there, a bit of a connection there. But I'm not going after status. I just refuse. In my eyes, I frankly don't fit on the planet in the first place. I'm not worried about going after some sort of status to get tax breaks. It's the same reason I will not turn around and open a nonprofit organization, nor will I donate, aside from absolute food, nor will I donate to a registered charity. You know, I don't know if I can prove it. That I don't even know where I would start looking, in all fairness. Carl, how you doing? Wasn't actually planning on being here today. As a matter of fact, I wasn't planning on anybody being here today. You know, I was by the way, Carl, I was absolutely appalled with the cost of shipping when I found out about it. I mean, I know I can get, like, it literally cost me $25 to ship in Canada and the continental US, which is insane. Right? But the reality is, with them, by saying the price of the books the way I have, I can make sure I'm making enough of a profit that I can reprint when I've sold most of them. And that was the real key to it from my end. It's not a question of not wanting the information to, you know, it's not a question of my wanting the information to be hidden. It's a question of I can't afford to do it on my own, you know. And this is why I've been debating the idea of reading the excerpts and what have you. The thing with, where did they go? These books. You know, when I look at this one, right, at the birth of the wolf pack, this whole story, I wrote the original story. I wrote the original storyline in grade 10. Now, if you've got a copy of that book, if you look in the back appendix, you'll see the original storyline. Yeah, sometimes you need a lot of help. Well, here's the thing, YJ. The Canada Post used to, if you had a small business, they used to give you a cut deal of a whopping 10% on shipping. Until last year, when all of a sudden, if you're not making $30,000, then they won't give you a discount, which to me is absolutely backwards. You know, what I mean by that is, if you're making the bigger money, you can afford to spend on the shipping. If you're not making the bigger money, then you really can't. And that's the people that require the boost. That's the people that require the edit. Okay. You know, the unfortunate part from what I'm seeing is society is built completely backwards by finally figured out where the real glitch is. You know, the real glitch altogether has been, number one, mankind is looking out the back window. Where did we come from? Were we created? Did the aliens seed this world? People are spending so much time looking out the back window that they're not looking where society is going. Okay. Yeah, that's the sad part. That really is the sad part, YJ. You know, the other part is, we go back 100 years when we were doing horseback, when we had the Pony Express. It was 10 days to get from one side of the country to the other. Now it's 3 weeks to get into the next city over. You know, and that's because of an increase in technology. You know, so what I'm looking at, when I wrote this, The Birth of the Wolf Pack, right, it started off, the actual story, if you look in the first appendix, you'll see the overall storyline. Now, literally speaking, that only covers the first 8 books in the series, right? Because the Great Collapse takes place right at the end of the storyline, and then the next 3 books. So what you're reading right now is the aftermath, if you will. Which is really kind of an interesting way of putting it, considering one of the games I was working with, Now, how is that even possible? You know, YJ's just putting in here, it's infuriating because it costs me and you $25 to ship 3 towns over. Yet someone can ship from China for 50 cents and lands in Toronto and makes 8 stops along the way through Canada, which is absolutely insane, the amount they're charging. But the problem is, at this point, we can't alter it. But that's the one problem we're looking at, is everybody's trying to figure out where we're coming from. You're looking out the back window. The other problem is we are spending so much time in fear of everything and blaming everybody else. You know, I mean, it gets extremely frustrating. Now, the one thing I will guarantee, 2 things I will guarantee. One, I'm not about to lie to anybody to make them feel better, unless I'm directly asked to do so. And 2 is the journey that I'm recording. Well, obviously, I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of pre-recording at this point, right? Because, frankly, I can't. Okay, with the camera doing what it's doing, technology and I argue. But I'm not stopping that, and I won't be stopping writing. Okay, but what I have figured out, and I'm not going to go into it in detail, but I figured out how to work word of mouth. Okay, how to actually track it, how to actually pay for it. Because advertising across the board costs money, but the most effective method, the most effective method of advertising has always been word of mouth. Well, I figured out an algorithm to actually track it and thereby pay for it. Now, with that in mind, I'm already working on, I'm already implementing it. But there are minimums of what I will be sending out. Because the way I figure it is this. You know, for anybody that's bought one of my books, okay, somebody buys my book and turns around and says, hey, pick up this book, take a look at it. And let's say a couple of people buy that you've introduced them to. I would have never had that sale if it hadn't been for the individual that passed it on. Well, yeah. And, you know, the sad part is virtually everything. You know, Carl's just saying China products are very cheap quality. Take a look at how they're getting them built. Now, I go to smaller businesses that do cost me a little more quite often. But my printer that is local, you know, I'm for these books, for instance, these ones, to give you an idea. Yeah, these books here, to just get them printed. Okay. Never mind what it costs for the artwork. To just get these printed is just over $20 a piece. And then I've got shipping on top of that, not to mention the whole issue of reprinting and what have you. It's just insane. So I am looking for a distributor, as it were. Okay. Even these little things cost me a little more. Okay. But I can keep the price where it is because of the fact that it doesn't cost that much to ship. You know, and it's getting worse. You know, see, like society itself, we've got to start looking at where we're standing, not where we came from, but where we desire to go. Okay, so by the time I'm done, these books here, you know, the Yldrbac Chronicles, there will be 12 of them all together. And all of the bindings produce one picture. I just have to remember which way it goes. There we go. All of the bindings will produce one picture that spans the entire binding, right? And the back picture, the back covers link together to make a complete 12 book collage. So, I mean, all in all, you know, it really boils down to, yeah, sad to say mankind is looking at way too many. I was looking at where it comes to the disposable market. I was at an event just last week when I was away at my reunion. I went to an event there that worked beautifully. They had leather work. And all the guy did was he took old leather carpet and old leather couches and peeled the leather off them and reused it. Just quickly reading what Carl wrote here. The unfortunate part, yeah. See, if we look at it, and people talk about, well, I'll order from China because it's cheaper. It is. But if everything gets put out, and this is why I deal as local as I can. If everything gets done at a distance, number one, communication lines get scrambled badly. Okay, that's the biggest problem right there. For me, I still deal best face to face. But when people start realizing that every time we push inflation up, the cost of everything goes up, which is why I did something absolutely bizarre. Where it came to the consulting I do, I shared my costs in half back at the beginning of June. Oh, very definitely, it's a different way of life in China. And the thing is, I don't knock anybody for a different way of life. Myself, I've never been driven by monetary stuff. I absolutely prefer the better than the finer things in life. But, for me, it's a question of you get focused on what you're aiming at. Yeah, see, the reality is I buy local where it comes to the figures I've got, and I'm probably paying way more. But again, it's a local business, and I tend to myself focus on local if I can. Okay, clearly where it comes to distribution, I've got to go elsewhere. And I've got to figure out how to do that because the company I work with is not a distribution hub. But we have to look at what are you personally aiming for. For me, it's a real simple issue. I desire to get and to turn my income or turn my static income, my livelihood into the writings. Okay, that's where I desire the major part of it. Yeah, that's there's a whole lot of things. I've never even looked at the wide open market. I've done a little bit of shopping from Amazon. I've done a little bit of online grocery shopping. Because frankly, the more I get out and see people, the less I want to. I really have become a lot more reclusive than is probably healthy. But, well, I can't really say that. I mean, if you think about it, aside from a major heart attack, one really annoying stroke, and 3 tooth infections, I haven't been sick in over a quarter century, which ain't bad. That means in almost half my life that I can clearly say and I can clearly remember. So from my standpoint, apparently what I'm doing is working. Yeah, pretty much. I do go out of the house, but I go out of the house to one grocery store and to one restaurant. And other than that, oh yeah, and then of course when I'm up to it, I go for a walk around my park, which is across the street. The insane part of it is I still get to see what's happening and what's going on with the world. The unfortunate part is I can see it. Okay, it's not just what I'm seeing happen. For me, because I remember past lives, what if I've got that handy? Just because I'm online and I'm basically killing time here until I start work. So I'm just looking to see if I can find what I was into. Oh, got to go into open. I've got a screen right above. That's what I'm looking at. I go into where is past info. Oh no, browse. Looking in my Windows Explorer. I go into desktop, into that file, personal. Here we are. This is something I've been asked before by a number of people, in all fairness. And no, I don't know how to actually write it, but this gives you an idea when I talk about remembering past lives. Okay, obviously I remember my current life, but I have documented. In 1956, I was still working for the U.S. military based out of Chicago. In 1828, I was living in northwestern Dublin, northwest of Dublin, Ireland, as a fisherman. In 1760, I was a plantation owner. Let's move that out of the way so I can see what's being. Oh, that was not what I had in mind. Just trying to move a thing out of it. There we go. I owned a plantation back in the 1760s. In 1600, I met William Shakespeare. I wasn't William Shakespeare, but I did meet him. And then, of course, in 1503, I knew Nostradamus. Again, I was not him. In 1480, I gained intimate understanding of how Leonardo da Vinci worked. Okay, how he worked, how he lived. Yeah, it's amazing, JCL. So few people look up. They look at the ground. Well, in all fairness, these silly little things are really a major problem. These silly things, people spend so much time staring at them. I've seen people looking at these and walk into a wall or walk out in the middle of traffic without even noticing what they were. See, the one, it's funny, Carl, the one thing I would love to get my hands on, I don't have the money for it yet. Because in England, I'm apparently not allowed to own one. But when I've got the money, I would love to get a hold of a true claymore, of a true Scottish claymore. My heritage is Scottish. And, oh, by the way, I'm going to get back to that. I stopped there in the 1500s. I've actually got that documented. Where are we? You take out one there, which means I have actually documented 24 lifetimes on this planet, never mind anything before it. Okay. Oddly enough, the neat part there, Carl, have you actually read, you've got The Birth of the Wolf Pack. When you get near the end of it, you'll find there is a group of gamers already that are written right into the story. Okay. Yeah, see, the funny thing, YJ, is the reason I want the Claymore is because my heritage is Scottish. And in England, I'm not actually allowed to own one at all because of the damage that thing did to the English, or to the English monarchy. Nightmare, how you doing? Glad you joined us. Boy, this is a heck of a sight more crowded than I was expecting. I'm quite happy that there is this many people here, because this was literally just an impromptu issue. But no, I was writing some of the storyline for the Yldrbac Chronicles was actually written. It was actually started in the 70s. But yes, I was writing it. I was writing it back in the 80s as well. Which is why when I take a look at where is this file right here. Nope, not that one. Oh, apparently I don't have that file open. So we open that file up, let it come to light. And here we go. See, each of the novels in the Yldrbac Chronicles are written at essentially the same size. So based on 400 books. I'm over halfway through finishing the Return to Paradise, and the next one, which is where it all began, I'm already over a third finished writing it. And all of that was written back in the 70s and 80s. It's just never made it to print. Well, it never got completed. You know, the neat little part about it. You know, I wouldn't actually be objectionable to that. YJ was just saying we should set up a weekly D&D game over the internet. I really don't have a problem with that. I'm in the process of setting up a game right now that I'm going to be starting a local tabletop game right now, and I've never heard of anybody ever doing this before. I've been gaming since June of '76. As it turns out, it sounds like I was actually introduced to it and I was talking to my little brother. Apparently, we were introduced to Dungeons and Dragons in Christmas of '75. But in June of '76, I started playing every week. Okay, I've been playing twice a week since '76. So, where are we here? So about 45 years. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons twice a week. Okay, and I'm just about to start a campaign that I have never heard of anybody starting it with. Okay, and that is I'm starting off the player characters this Sunday. They will be starting off as literally fetuses. Okay, the character generation program takes place during the game. Okay. The thing is, I just don't see my brother, my eldest brother, who just passed away in March. He was gaming as long as I was, right? And for him, he's the one that introduced me to it, and he's passed on now. So maybe he started a game off, in heaven or hell. Depends on who you talk to as to where he went. So, am I open to the idea? Certainly, but it has to work around my schedule. And the reality is, I work, just to put this on the table properly. I work from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. from Monday to Friday, 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. Pacific time. Thursday is already booked, and so is Sunday. Now, that said, the biggest challenge I am going to have as far as that goes, and I really don't have a problem with running a game over the line. I still am absolutely firmly in firm belief the tabletop, as in using dice. This is just to give you an idea. The Yldrbac Chronicles, I got a little carried away with. This is actually the dice I built for the Yldrbac Chronicles. Okay. These are custom made, and then of course, when you open them up, see if I can actually get one out without actually dropping them all. Physical dice. I still work with them. It's sad to say. The sad part of it there, Wallet Moth, is I actually don't tell the UFOs where to go. I tell other people where to go, but it's kind of like I have made a comment about a long time ago, actually quite frequently. I make every single person I meet happy. Some of them by showing up, most of them by leaving. It's funny that anybody should mention the idea of running a game online. I've never honestly really overly thought about it. I've looked at it, and there's a lot of online where it's all automated. It's like, not interested. Computers and I don't get along that well. The hiccup that I would have. Oh, okay, that one I can work on there, Wallet Moth. In all fairness, I've been being taken since I was born. Okay. And I've only had one instance where I can confirm that putting in a good word for somebody worked. Okay. And they ended up I'm not even certain if they're still live at this point. I can't get a hold of them. Yeah, tabletop. There is a very big difference between tabletop gaming and video gaming. But here's the thing: one of my ex-girlfriends made a comment. She says, "You don't use tabletop gaming as a relaxation form. You use it as a way to build, and to manifest." And in all fairness, I really do. Yeah, and that's where we would run into two major complications. One, technology and I really argue. Okay. And like I said, what brought me onto the internet, onto the live feed today, was testing to find out how a camera that the computer says is no longer working, is no longer there, can be working on a third-party system, i.e., Skype, and as it turns out, live Yahoo Live. How that same camera can record. Now, I will put this out to the few of you that are here. If you're really interested in my setting up a game, I'll try and figure out how. Filming our game. There's no way I can move the computer system out there to do it. But running one off of here, where we can do it live, if I can figure out how to set up a group video where we can interact, that can be done. The issue of running the game is easy. The issue of setting up the technical side of it, that's the problem. Okay. But from that end, I don't have a problem. And that said, if you guys are interested in that sort of thing, I will certainly look into seeing where I can fit it in. Let me know what times actually work best for the people that are interested. Like I said, for me, Monday to Friday, I can't do it at night because I'm working from 3 until 10 p.m. Pacific. Okay, and Sunday's already shot. But Saturday during the day, I could possibly pull it off. Yeah. Yeah, you don't want mine doing chefing at all there, Carl. You really don't. My idea of cooking is very simplistic. This is why I go out to the restaurant way too often. But, I would love to stick around. I've got to get ready for work itself. But I am so very pleased that you guys showed up today. I was not expecting to run into anybody. Which is why I didn't tell anybody I was coming on. It was just a last man thing. The camera was screwed up. And I figured, let's just test it. So what I'm going to have to do, and I don't know when I'll be doing it, like what time, but where it comes to recording the journey, apparently what I'm going to be doing is going on at apparently random times to actually start talking about what I'm doing there. But I unfortunately have to get to work, so thank you so much for joining me. Really glad you dropped in. And like I said, I'm quite open to the idea of setting up a multiplayer game. And I don't have the biggest game I ever ran. We had 14 people around the table. I ran a game years ago, a solo game, for 8 years. Now, that being said, if you're actually interested, let me know. I mean, obviously, you know how to get a hold of me. I'll be back in. The journey I'll still be doing, but it looks like I'm going to have to live stream it for a bit. So we'll see how that works. And in the meantime, exactly when, I don't know. Keep an eye open, you'll know. But in the meantime, I've got to get to work. So thank you so much for joining me. And until we talk again, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.